What's up, film fans? Welcome to another episode. Welcome to Friday the 14th podcast. Brand new episode, brand new horror movie. I am one of the hosts, Juan, and I'm joined by the other host, Franco,
Hey, what's up, guys?
and a returning veteran, Manny Fresh. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, so good. Thank you for having me on today.
Man, I am super excited. Peacock original movie. We get to talk about Sick. But it's also another big day in the horror world as this new Scream trailer dropped earlier today. Scream 6, New York, new rules. I'm excited. It looks pretty good. It looks sick. What about you guys? Did you guys get to check out the trailer this week or today?
Ghostface has a shotgun. That's all I needed to see. That's
He's
all you had to
built.
show me.
He's built different.
Yeah, I was like, this man does not care. He's in New York with a shotgun in a corner store. Like, no rules. I'm
No,
scared of him.
no rules. I'm excited, but I'm also excited to talk about a little film that we're talking about today. So, for those of you that are new or have not watched any of these episodes, last week we talked about the original Friday the 13th from 1980. Go back and check that episode out wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can watch it live or on demand right here on this Imasawa Productions YouTube channel. Go check out the social media, Instagram / Friday the 14th podcast. Also, you can find all of the social media at Imasawa Productions on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Just check it out and hit us up on the social media. Comment maybe on some movies that you want to hear us talk about, or give your 5 Danny Trejo ratings on the movie that we're talking about today, or the movies that we're talking about in the past or in the future. So check out social media because we're all over social media. And then the YouTube channel has any and everything you want to watch: wrestling, podcasts, horror movies, whatever you want. So
Tacos.
tacos. We got any wet tacos on there?
Not wet, just hard.
Just hard.
Shell tacos.
Um, but guys, we're gonna get ready to get into sick. Unless there's any other news, Franco, that you want to bring into the episode or anything else that's happening on the YouTube channel.
Uh, Nothing I can think of. We haven't done full matches in a while. There'll be some full matches like next week or the week prior after. That's about it.
Some full matches. Before we dig into the movie, Franco, sick on Peacock. Was it just something that looked cool, or were you kind of excited for this release before we were able to dig into it?
I did not know about this release until I brought it up. I think the day before I brought it up to y'all, I saw like an article on it saying talking about it. And I was like, oh, this seems interesting. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, this looks interesting. But to me, it looked more like a comedy horror, and I guess we'll talk about it more later on. But I like the trailer, and I was like, whenever we decided to switch it up for Megan, I was like, let's throw that one in there since the new release, get new release out of the way.
Which, yeah, 2 back-to-back new releases. Sick this week, Megan next week. But if you guys want to play along and watch what we review, Sick is now available on Peacock. Go check it out. Uh, Due to the pandemic, Parker and her best friends decide to quarantine at the family lake house alone, or so they think. IMDb currently has it at a 6.2, Rotten Tomatoes at 88%, the Metascore is at 62%, while the Google users like it at 83%. It just came out. The release was January 13th of this year, um, with a cast of Gideon Alden, Bethlehem Million, Dylan Sprayberry, and directed by John Hames. Written by Kevin Williamson, one of the writers from the original Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Um,
I didn't know that going into it, and so whenever
Yeah,
the
that's
things
the first
played,
for me.
I saw it and I was like, yo, that explains why I actually enjoyed it.
so let's dig into it, man. The movie kicks off April 2020, smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. What did you guys think of the opening with Tyler being at the market?
I enjoyed it. It was something new. Kevin Williamson wrote it, so it felt Scream esque, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it.
I think to me the beginning just took me back because it was just like it felt so real. Even like the taped arrows on the floor when he's walking to the grocery store. I'm just like, dude, this is like on point. Everything that was going on during the pandemic
Yeah.
was just,
Or how about when he went to go grab the Kleenex and the mom was like, "Really?"
yeah. And then she called him a dick.
Yeah.
He's like, F you. You could have said sorry. Like I just, it just, gosh,
You
that
don't
was.
you don't really think about too much PTSD when it comes to the pandemic because you're like, we lived through it. It's in the past. But when you saw the movie, you're like, I don't ever want to go through that again.
Oh no, man,
No,
no. I do not wish that ever,
never that.
ever.
The customer coughed and everybody looked at her.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
You know how many times I had to hold in sneezes and coughs even though I wasn't sick with a face mask on just because I was scared of
Yeah,
getting those looks?
my
Yeah.
eyes would tear up when I had to hold it.
Oh man.
So do you guys think with all the technology we have and with location sharing, location stuff like that, did the texting at the beginning of the movie? I mean, if that happened to anybody now, would you guys still kind of be like weirded out or freaked out by it, or you just be like, the texting kind of got to me just a little bit. I don't know why, because you're saying who's this, you're texting back who's this. If somebody texts me, I don't know, and they don't answer back who's this, maybe it's because I have no fucks given, but I'm gonna call that number and be like, hey, who's this? And but what did you guys think of the text yourselves? Did you enjoy it, or did you kind of wish they went maybe another route?
I enjoyed it. It's more, I guess, modern take to it. Everybody has a location on for every stupid thing. Like
Yeah.
Snapchat, you can see your friends'
Yep.
locations from there. I have my Snapchat off and all that, but you can see it that
Yeah.
way.
I think some people don't even realize they have their location on.
Yep.
It's just like media is just a thing like now where everybody's just so like uh posting where they're at constantly with like no care in the world. Like if you go on vacation, never tell people you're going on vacation because you just told them your house is vacant.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, oh yeah, thanks. And so like I think for the beginning with the text thing is like I've been in situations like that where I still reply. And so it's like I don't think it really got to me until they sent the picture. That's when it's like, okay, all right, like this was funny at first. Now it's like you're definitely a stalker or somebody I don't know.
Spoiler alert! Before we continue on the conversation, we're 9 minutes into the episode, 8 minutes and some change. Go back, watch the movie. It's on Peacock because we're about to get into some spoiler territory. If you don't want to get anything spoiled for you, um,
Oh,
Tyler's attack and death, I thought was a pretty fun way to open up the movie. Going to the grocery store, then going back to the apartment when it could have just happened at the apartment or in front of the dorm. I guess he was in college, right? That was a dorm that he was in.
Yes.
So I thought it was pretty unique and fresh being in the market and then going back to the dorm. What'd you guys think of Tyler's opening death?
I I honestly, to be honest with you, I thought it was good only because like the choreography for this film to me was top notch. Like I'm so glad like we saw him fight back in this scene. Like I'm so tired of like the same old like remedy where it's just like nobody fights back, you're killed off instantly. I feel like the scene created it like this tension where you're like I want the person that's being like trying to be killed to win, to overpower because you want them to fight back, and in this one you get that. Like it's always like, oh, I would have done this and if I was in that situation, and then you see this person doing those things and you're like, wow, and like I think what really added to it was the fact that you got CNN playing on the TV screen, Anderson Cooper talking. It really puts you in the feel of like this is was the pandemic. This is like on point. Everything. I just thought it was so good the way the scene carried itself. Especially again because we could talk spoilers, right? We could just go
Yeah.
okay. Like when he puts the desk against the door so the killer doesn't get in, you're waiting for them to come in through the window. Like you're like this is cliche. Look behind you, and then I remember when his body gets in the frame where the window it's not showing behind him. I'm like the killer's there, and when it's not, I'm like it's so perfect because this movie played on cliches in a way, but twisted them and was like, no, this is what you thought. That's not what you're gonna get. And for that, bravo. Like I thought that was perfect.
yeah.
Um, and then Tyler's death, got yeah, like you said, he fought back and um, his death was a little bit, even though you kind of knew it was coming. it felt real, and it felt like you felt sorry for that he lost his life. And I think you touched on it right. So many movies just, oh, he's just another victim. Like, yeah, he is in this movie, but you felt a little sorrow for him losing his life.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know, man. He wasn't wearing his mask when he left the store. Good
yeah,
riddance.
Where's your
And
mask? Come on, bro.
back in 2020, it's like good riddance, man.
so
Peace.
so so he was asking for it then, right, Franco?
Yeah, he had his location on. He didn't have his mask on. He was asking for it.
Um,
Damn.
Meeting
God.
Parker and Miri. What do you guys think of the two mains? Um, you know, again, when it comes to horror movies nowadays, sometimes it's like hit or miss on the cast. I thought the cast was pretty excellent in this movie. Even though some of them may not be that memorable, not very big time actors or actresses, but I thought they were pretty fun as far as the main two characters go. You
I
have
enjoyed
one,
them.
yeah, you have one who's like partying it up. She don't really care, but she's still trying to be cautious for her friend. And then you have the one that's like, put the fucking mask on. We gotta be safe. We gotta be healthy. I like that they meshed well together.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I feel like there was balance between the two characters. Usually, a lot of the times, the best friends act the same, or one of them's like not as level-headed, or they're both like on a somewhat same level of, okay, I don't care if either of them die. But this one had like kind of played on each other. Like you have Parker, who's like this free spirit, and you have Mary, who's like this, look, I could be a free spirit, but let's be smart about this. And so, every time Parker's acting up, you have that friend that's kind of there to keep you grounded, which in real life, I think that's always a perfect combination. And so just the way they played so well with each other, um, I bought their friendship. Like I really did. I bought it. Sometimes I don't buy it in movies, but I bought it with this one because I definitely do remember in the pandemic the friends that were like, "Yo, my dad can get, this. Please take it serious, dude. Put on your mask. Hey, did you sanitize? Did you do this?" And then there was the part of, everybody that was like, "Damn, I'm tired of wearing this mask. I don't want to wear it anymore." But you have to have that balance, and I think Miri played that part well, and Parker played her part well. I liked it. Good combination.
Yeah. Quarantining at the lake. First mistake was the pictures on social media. Um, you know, uh, and then I don't know. I like the scenery, the wide shots and the wide angles of them driving to the lake house. I'm like, man, are you sure this is a horror movie, or what kind of film am I watching? Because you don't get that too many times now with really good cinematography, good wide shots, high angle shots. But this film was shot beautifully for can we call it a low budget horror film? I couldn't even find the budget for the movie, so I'm sure it's a Peacock original. So, but it's also Blumhouse. With that being said, I guess it's also got some Universal ties in the movie, so the budget had to be a pretty high budget movie. But man, I thought it was just shot beautifully, and the score was simple, but it like was meaningful as well. What do you
Hmm.
guys think of the sounds and the scores, the
When
shots to the lake house?
when I saw the shots at first, whenever they're driving up and everything, I was like, "Yo, this is probably gonna be like an extra 2 minutes that can get cut," because I felt like it was gonna drag on. The movie did not drag on, did not feel rushed. It was like perfect timing with everything. So I'm glad they were able to do it because like you said, it was shot beautifully and everything.
Yeah, and it set
And
up the tone for the lake and for the lake house.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was it
Yeah.
was real perfect and everything. And the score was simple yet like memorable. Like
yeah.
it fit with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week how Camp Crystal Lake was its own character in Friday the 13th. I feel like this movie, the lake house, was the same. It was its own
Yeah.
character in the movie. Like I,
Yeah.
I think you needed those wide shots of the lake, of the way to the lake, because of what was coming later of them trying to escape.
Hmm.
I
Um,
remember.
Go ahead.
There's a shot when they're leaving the college, uh, Parker and Miri, and the road is clear. And I remember my fiance says, "Yeah, on a road, yeah, roads with nobody on them. That's believable." And then I'm like, "No, during the pandemic, the roads look like this."
Yep.
And I feel like if any movie has the excuse to have no cars, it's this one. But then I also feel like they paid enough attention to detail that they focused on the fact that there will be no other cars in this shot. These people are leaving to quarantine. Like it just again like the log the cat I want to call it like a log cabin because it was beautiful. This like, but it was like it had its own essence. Like the log cabin was its own thing. Like every scene is shot to where you feel like the weather too. When they're sitting by the lake and she's like, "Come on, it's April. You can't have it all," because she's like, "It's not that warm out here. The water must be freezing." And then like to later on when they're smoking weed, uh, you can see that it's super chilly outside there, and I like that in movies. I like when you can feel the scenery
Hmm.
because it puts you in the film for a bit, and that's I'm all for that, man. If I'm watching a movie, I want to be in the movie, and this from score to scenery, this movie did it for me.
Yeah, even when in the nighttime when things start happening, the film was a little extra dark. Like I was like I had to check my settings on the TV. I'm like, is this my TV? Do I need to go up a notch? But no, it was just a really dark shot film, and yeah, I agree. It made you feel one with the movie, and it almost wanted you to like uh, wanted you to bring in with the movie. Uh, I'm gonna bring up my only nitpick of this movie, and that was DJ. And I know he's probably just brought in for an extra kill, and probably at first you're like he's a suspect, so maybe he's one of the guys. But yeah, the whole argument with DJ, and then the argument leading into his demise, his death. I guess we'll get into the second death of the movie. Um, I thought his death was cool. Don't get me wrong, but I just felt like he was a really wasted character, and I did not like him at all. What you guys think?
I feel like you needed him just to set up more of the plot of the reason why the killers came after her.
Mhm.
But at the beginning when he came in, I was like, okay, just an extra death. There's no reasoning to it. But then once they set up the full plot and everything, it's like, okay, well then, yeah, I understand why they brought him in.
It made sense.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
his death was the best one by far.
I
yeah,
I honestly, it's crazy because um yeah, when he first comes on, I'm like, first of all, weirdo. You just walk in. That's a no go. Obviously, you and this girl are kind of like not exclusive, and you just don't do that. You just don't read a girl's what's it called Instagram post and say I'm gonna show up, which was again weird. But I think he redeemed himself in a way when he fought for them, like when he fought to protect them. Because a lot of times in these movies, it's like everybody takes off running, but this man was like, no, you and Miri, y'all take off. I'll fight off this person, which again, I love the choreography because it actually feels like there's pushback. It feels like there's a struggle. This killer doesn't just get the upper hand. There's some kind of fight back. With his death, first thing I thought of though was Jeepers Creepers, the first film, and only because when he opens the door and they notice that like his feet are kind of elevated, and then you see that he's attached to the pole.
yeah.
It reminds me of when the creeper kills the old lady and he's holding her body with a shotgun, and they think that she's coming up to the door. So that to me was a nod, which again I've always loved that scene. I thought it was perfectly done. This film did it for me too because I'm like, wow, it's so refreshing to see like this occur. I just gosh, there's so many things I like about this movie, and DJ's death definitely was one of them.
In a movie that didn't have a lot of kills and was in and out in just an hour and 20 minutes, I think we can all agree this was probably the best death of the movie. Then, um, so the argument I didn't enjoy, but I love the death. Um, what do you think of the attacks of the first killer coming in and he's attacking both of them? You got Miri's fall. She falls on the grass, and at that point, I'm like, I think it was too obvious that she wasn't going to be killed off. So I'm like, she'll be back. I kind of knew that. Um, but then it kind of jumped up crazy, and Parker kills the first masked guy, who at first we only think there's one of them. At least I did. And then
Yeah.
what'd you guys think when he got was it like a frying pan or something to the head, and she just started like bashing his brains in?
Whenever she started, I was like, "Yo, no, this ain't ending like that. There has to be two killers now." And so whenever it was happening, um, sorry, my little one. Whenever it was happening, I was like, "Yeah, there's gonna be two killers and whatnot." But the scene was really good. The way she fought back for it was really good. Something you want in a horror movie. It's like you don't want them, like how
Mhm.
Maddie's been
It's
saying, you don't want them just giving up. You want them fighting back, and yeah,
Yeah, Parker finishing him off for what she thought she did. I thought it was like, yes, that's what you should do in movies. I hate when they just leave. Like, for example, DJ does that. Like, he hits the guy, he falls over, right? And then he's like, F you, and he kicks him. But I'm like, I would finish them off. I'm sorry. Like, my thing is, yes, again, adrenaline's running, but it's like, do you want that person chasing you again? But when he goes in for that second kick is when he gets his leg stabbed, which, again, that was also really cool because I'm like, damn, like, didn't see that coming. But at the same time, with Parker ending this guy, just like I felt like I was wailing my hands up with her when I was watching. I'm like, again, again, don't stop. It's like one of those like you get like your adrenaline starts to rush. I'm like, why is my adrenaline rushing watching this film? I feel like I'm the one holding that thing over the guy's head, and I'm the one bashing his face in. Um, so yeah, I mean, uh, these another thing that this guy throws people like crazy. Because he threw, Tyler in the beginning, he throws DJ, he throws Parker over there. I'm like, this guy got like a hand. Like, of every killer I've ever seen in movies, I definitely would. He couldn't lift me. I know he couldn't. But what's it called? That dude was throwing. He was throwing people. I like that. That was cool.
So it felt a little too predictable for me, but even though it was a little predictable, I think it was executed perfectly, and it was still executed to where you could enjoy the movie, even though you kind of knew some things were maybe coming a little too soon. Did you guys have any issues, or did you kind of see some things coming before they happened?
the the main plot of it was a twist, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. The whole
Uh,
ending with why they were doing it.
mhm.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything really, honestly, besides DJ's death. You knew he was gonna die whenever he revealed himself.
So after the first killer died, I called him Thing One and Thing Two. Um, what did you think whenever he did come back from the dead, and then he just, Miri goes off and stabs him and finally finishes him off? I'm glad he came back for just a little bit, and it wasn't like outdone. Like he still came back, but it was realistic. Like he was, you know, hurting. He was not 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Like he was in a state of panic when he gets up, like what the hell? But at the same time, he's like, oh, I gotta stop this one. Like the other one just bashed my head in. Uh, but I'm so glad he didn't overstay his visit and was killed off instantly because it's like last thing I need is for man to be indestructible and super strong after getting your face rocked like that. I'm sorry, like I seen UFC fighters take much less to the face and it does a lot to them. Like you ain't gonna tell me that man's gonna get up and be Superman with no matter how much adrenaline you got rushing in your body. So I liked it. Plus, Miri is super smart, man.
Yeah.
Gets herself into the house, starts to make herself a splint. Like I'm like, dude, heck yeah! Like Miri for the win. I'm like, you know what? You're a person who's being killed, but at least you're smart about taking care of your injuries when you can. And then the movie creates that sense of tension with her constantly looking over to make sure the body's still there.
Yep.
And,
Or
and, and it makes you think, horror cliche, it's not going to be there when she looks again. But instead of that happening, he just no straight up gets up
or
and
she
like,
or her using the Wi-Fi at the end of the movie also. Like,
yeah,
it's this movie was really a surprise to me because it's just attention to detail that a lot of horror movies don't do. And I can probably say 2022 and so far the start of this month has been horror has just been top notch for the last few months. Um, so I wanted to talk to you guys about the trailer for this movie. Manny, I think you said you didn't watch the trailer, right? Franco, you said you did watch the trailer. I watched the trailer and I enjoyed the scene of the trailer where she tries to get in the car and the old lady's like, "Do you have a mask? I can't let you in without a mask." And that is what drew me to the movie. I'm like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious. That's funny. That's smart. I can't wait to watch this movie." And then it happened in the movie, and I'm like, the trailer kind of ruined it for me because that was the big pop in the trailer. And then when I finally watched it in the movie, it wasn't as entertaining this time around. Um, Manny, hats off to you for not watching the trailer. Um, and that kind of wanted me to ask you guys: Are you Manny? For you first, are you one to like skip trailers and just go straight into the movie, especially if
uh,
it's like a big Marvel or horror movie?
my thing is, trailers that don't overstay their welcome. I don't like trailers that give me too much. So I'm a fan of getting a trailer. Like I love trailers. Like it's like, oh my goodness, you know. But um, for certain films, I feel like they do too much in the trailer. I see the movie and it's like, I saw all of this in the trailer, you know.
Yeah.
But with this movie, I just listened to Franco say there was a horror movie coming out, heard him say it was gonna be on Peacock, and that's all I needed. I'm like, look, I'm looking for stuff to watch. I've been like, when I run out of stuff, I go back to watching movies. Like I just finished watching Black Sheep and Tommy Boy, and now I miss Chris Farley like crazy.
Hell
Saw him when
yeah.
I was younger, but I had nothing to watch. I'm like, I'm gonna go back and watch some '90s films. Like, let's do it. And so Franco tells me, yo, there's some fresh beef on the table. You can eat it. And I'm like, what's it called? He's like, sick. And I said, I'm gonna eat that. I'm gonna eat the whole plate. So I didn't even bother with the trailer. I'm like, I'm not gonna watch the trailer. I'm gonna sit here, read a little bit of the synopsis, dive in. And because of that, the scene with the woman in the car, it was one of my favorite scenes. And
Yeah.
when I saw the trailer play after the movie, I'm like, that I would have been mad. I would have been mad
Yeah.
if I saw this trailer. I would have been
Yeah.
mad if I saw this because this is one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite scenes, and if I'd seen it in the trailer, I'd have been like, well, at one point in the movie, this is gonna happen, so it's not, But not seeing it and seeing it for the first time just in the movie, I was like, dude, what? Like the whole. Where's your mask? Where's your mask? I'm like, oh my! I would have already broken in the window or thrown her out of the car. Like, I'm sorry, woman, but I'm trying to live here.
Like the first, like we talked about Scream at the beginning of the episode. I watched the first and only trailer that came out so far. I'm done. I'm not gonna watch another one. I think movies nowadays have 4 or 5 trailers before the actual release. I think you just need one, and that's it.
I agree with that right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So, except for Ant Man, I have not seen a full trailer in Ant Man, so I'm keeping that one away from me, and we'll take it there.
I saw a trailer for Ant Man because I was watching. It was in one of the movies I was watching. I was like, damn it! I was trying to avoid it so hard.
You were screaming in the theater. You're like la 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 la
Yeah, I
I'll
told
I'll
Tiff. Tiff
I'll
was like,
get up and
Tiff was like, close your eyes. Like, well, I'm gonna hear it still. What's the point?
I'm gonna get up and go get a $6 hot dog if that trailer comes on during Megan when I go see Megan this weekend.
I think it was during Megan, so
Well,
watch out.
thanks for that. Yeah, I'm gonna go get a $8 hot dog. um, but I mean,
Oh,
let's.
Hey, what's up, South Collectibles?
yes. Hey, dude.
But then the trailer, that scene is what attracted me to this movie because I was like, okay, this looks like a horror comedy, and I love horror comedy, so I was like, okay, like this is probably gonna be good. So like, had I not seen the trailer, I probably would never suggested this film.
So see, it's kind of a
Oh,
win-win thing. It's you'll have some who enjoy the trailer and be like, hey, that trailer for Franco ended up being a word-of-mouth movie for everybody else. So you kind of got your wins and your losses.
To me, MVP trailer of the year last year was the trailer for Barbarian. Like that trailer got me to see the movie, and then the movie was nothing the trailer showed. It was like what, like MVP. Like to me, to this day, I'm like that was one of the best ways to market the movie. It was just a one and done trailer. They didn't do multiple trailers for this. It was just that trailer, and that was it. Then I saw the movie and was like, what? The thing that sold me was Justin Long. I was like, that's all you have to say. If the movie has Justin Long, I'm watching it. You don't have to say anything else. But that trailer, and then watching the movie, I was like, what the heck? So one and done's. I agree with that. One trailer is enough. There doesn't need to be 13 or 14.
So you got the two. You finally got the ending opening up and unfolding as everything goes on. The positive COVID tests. The whole talk about Benji and his death, and when they said that their son had died from COVID, I'm like, wow. I'm like, so this is how this is gonna end, and I'm like, I wasn't mad. I was happy. I was like, man, what a way to take something that really happened in the pandemic and make a movie that probably people are so crazy and so nuts today that I could see a family and that happening. And I'm not saying people are crazy or because people lost family members during the pandemic due to COVID. So if that were to really happen, and I'm sure a lot of people did lose really, really close ones to them, I can see somebody creating a real life horror story and movie about trying to get back to Jennifer, who went to a party and just got everybody sick with COVID and one of their kids died. Like, that's legit what happened in this movie. And I'm like, did Kevin Williams just sit down and just have a nice drink and just write this whole script out in one day? Or I wonder if he started thinking about this script during the actual pandemic.
Probably was jotting down notes everywhere he went.
Yeah.
You know, like look at the way people are fighting over toilet paper. You
Yeah.
know, look at the way people act when you cough in line. Look at the way, and then like he just kind of like conjured it up. Like, what if a family took revenge on a family member they lost? Which I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably felt, those who lost loved ones in the pandemic, if they could just get back at the person who wasn't wearing their mask or wasn't doing the 6 feet or wasn't following CDC guidelines. So just I thought it was just such a perfect play on the pandemic and such a great way to create a story with the pandemic that wasn't just about being quarantined in a house.
Yeah.
You know, it was like this wasn't like from even the test when they make her do the test. I
Yep.
hated. I had to get a couple of COVID tests. Do not recommend. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. Like I just they suck, and I felt it too. When she's sticking the thing up her nose, I'm like, I remember that, and I hated it. I just, gosh, it just, I thought it was just so perfectly. Kevin,
Or
shout out to you, man.
or what's upsetting is like when they were explaining his death about him being in the bed all alone or him dying alone because nobody could be around him because of COVID. Like, man, like this was a legit thing that really happened. Or they could have taken the cheap way out and took COVID and turned it into another zombie movie. But
Exactly,
they
exactly.
they didn't. Everything was original for this movie, and I just, man, I want to say hats off to Kevin Williamson, hats off to Franco for recommending the movie,
Yes,
and
thank
like,
you.
you know what, the thing I enjoy most about podcasting is whether it's 5 people or 5,000 people, we get to talk about a movie that maybe not a lot of people have heard, and maybe after seeing or listening or watching this episode, they go watch the movie and experience what we did. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so,
Gosh, this is a definitely a market because it came out this year.
yep.
It's definitely like I've already marked it down as one of my favorite horror films that I've or in the genre that I've seen this year, and it's just a perfect way to start off January because that's like the most crucial month of the year. It's like you're bringing out all the new stuff. It gives you a taste on what we can expect for the rest of the year. And Blumhouse, you've impressed me greatly with this
Yep.
one.
Last week, Franco, we talked about Mrs. Voorhees and how crucial she was to her role as, the actress. Pamela in this movie as the main, the mom, if you will, who gets her sons right. They were her sons to avenge Benji's death. I thought she was the perfect kind of crazy for this role. What did you guys think of Jane Addams, who plays Pamela?
Was it her son and her husband? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was her
Yeah,
husband
yeah,
and her son,
The,
right?
the
yeah.
son.
Yeah,
There
I
you
think the
go.
son had
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
was the first one
They were
dead.
avenging Benji. Yeah.
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 So
I thought she did very well. Right off the bat with her in the car and everything, like it was unexpected, I guess. And yeah, she did really good. I mean, being crazy, I don't think she's as memorable as Pamela Voorhees, though.
no. Is that another nod though, naming her Pamela? Because I'm like, man,
Oh yeah, it was Pamela as well, right?
yeah.
That might
Well,
have been, yeah.
it was, yeah. I think
And
it
she's
was.
avenging her son.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Look at you
Kevin
catching that.
Williamson, damn.
Damn. Look at the
Uh,
nods to other horror films in another horror film.
but I do think the ending was fun. Her death was again not common. She could have went out with like her head getting chopped off or being stabbed or something, but she burned alive. And you know what? Even though it's a small part of me wants to believe that there's room for a sequel, that's why it ended the way with her just falling down. Maybe
Mm.
IMSA could have came in and they just shot her. Did away with the fire extinguisher. It never. She just fell. That's all. It didn't show her actually die or anything. But
And
I would like to believe that it set something open for another movie.
in the sequel, it's gonna open up with the deaths of everybody at that the house, and they're gonna blame it on COVID.
There you go.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be like definitely COVID took him out.
Yeah,
Yep.
They'll be like, what? This dude's impelled by antlers. Yeah, he was coughing so bad he fell off the top of the,
yeah.
and he
They're
fell
gonna raise
down.
up the
Definitely
numbers for
COVID.
COVID again.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, but I was gonna say if they were to make a sequel, I think the smarter route probably would be to maybe set the film in the realm of Sick. So not so much continuing the characters, but opening us up to other characters and maybe another family,
Yeah.
doing some of the same thing, or maybe not even a family. Maybe it goes into the people that thought we should have the vaccines, people that thought we shouldn't have the vaccines. You
Yeah.
know, like something like that. It could be set in the realm of COVID. That way, you kind of continue this without it being like, oh, we saw this in the last film. You know, like it could be something like that. So that's also really cool. Like if they were to make a sequel, I'm gonna trademark that though. So if Blumhouse takes it from this podcast, uh, I said that.
While we're on the topic of the pandemic, this is a new segment of the podcast called Legacy. Last week we talked about the legacy of Jason Voorhees and Friday the 13th. Sick doesn't really have a legacy. You know, there's not a franchise built yet on it. There's not a main face killer. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about the legacy of the pandemic and how it changed not only movies, but the way we watch movies. So I wanted to bring that up to you guys about, now that the pandemic happened, uh, even the biggest Marvel movie didn't make what a Marvel movie made in 2019. So the pandemic really changed everything movie wise. Things are going straight from movie theaters to streaming, sometimes not even movie theaters, they're just going straight to streaming like Sick. So what's the biggest negative thing that you guys think that the pandemic took away movie wise? And then we'll go positive.
Just going to the movie theater with your family and watching a movie.
Yeah, I
My,
would. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, my negativity right quick would just be the fact that it's so 50-50 on good movies and bad movies. Like I feel like
Mm,
the pandemic made us so spoiled at watching movies at home that it took away the fact that we could go to a movie theater and watch a bad movie and we may not think it's a bad movie because we had that theater experience. You know,
mm,
to where now maybe some movies aren't getting a theatrical release. They're like, we only spent $200 million on it. Let's just put it on HBO Max, or let's just put it on Paramount
yeah.
Plus. So that would be my
Oh.
negative. That'd be my negative from the whole pandemic thing.
Um, I agree with you on that because I feel like in a way, even the way they're directing and what the production in some movies, I feel like they just became so complacent that like we don't have to go 100% because these people are going to eat it up either way.
Yeah.
You know, they're so used to what they saw on stream, and if Netflix if a Netflix original was good enough for them, then when we throw it on the big screen, we don't have to spend more of a budget. You know what I mean? It's what they're expecting. They're expecting the CGI to look bad. Thor: Love and Thunder. They're expecting the CGI to be crappy. So we don't have to like really try. And I agree with that. And I also agree like one of the biggest effects was turnout. I think now people have gotten so complacent that they're like, oh, it's not going to streaming, then I'm not gonna watch it. And I'm
Yep.
like, wait, what? Like my thing was when the pandemic shut down theaters, that crushed my heart because I'm like, yo, you just took away my fortress of solitude. Like you're telling me, you know, I can't go to a theater. I remember being so desperate as soon as Cinemark announced that they were going to be doing like these throwback movies in like early of summer 2021 or no maybe it was like in
2020.
2020 still it was in 2020
Yeah.
when they did that and I got so excited I bought tickets to see Back to the Future and I was like I've already seen this movie in theaters but I want to see it like I want to see it again and I remember the day comes and Cinemark Century's still not open and I remember like having to get a refund on my tickets and being so let down like I need to watch a movie in a movie theater. So I feel like that's what it's done. The legacy of the pandemic has done turnout. Now people are willing to skip out on a movie if it's not available for streaming right then and there.
Yep. It took away the want to go to a movie theater to where like say let's say a movie like that didn't do so well in theaters like let's talk about The Whale, for example, or I mean, even Megan. Megan's doing really good in theaters, but I heard here at some of my local theaters, it's already going to be taken out next week or the week after because
Wow.
it's just it's it's not blooming. And Ant Man comes out, so let's go ahead and take that out, and we don't need it in theaters anymore. That's probably my biggest as well. Like movies aren't getting that much time in theaters, and I'm missing out on a lot of movies in theaters. Um,
Because they're trying to throw it to streaming as soon as
yeah.
they can, which is again, I agree with you that that does suck.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
we need more movies like Top Gun that just completely goes to straight to $1 billion, so it can be kept in the movie theater for 6 months.
So freaking good.
Um, what about something positive that came out of the pandemic? The legacy of the pandemic. If I could say that there's anything positive, um, man, I kind of want to say I don't know if anything positive came out of the pandemic hitting the movie business, because it made prices on physical media more expensive. It made prices on the tickets more expensive, the concessions more expensive, the
You don't even get
quality
free
of
refills anymore.
the quality of the
I still get the
quality
free refills, man.
the quality of some of the movies aren't as good because they're so worried about quantity instead of quality. Uh,
Mm,
so I don't
I
know, man. I
see.
don't think anything maybe positive came out about it. The only thing I can see something
The
positive,
popcorn guy.
the popcorn.
Dude, I got an email today from Cinemark. It's National Popcorn Day, so it's 50% off. And this is Cinemark theaters. Like this is nationwide. So it's not Corpus. It's nationwide. And when you click it, it's like, how much do you love popcorn? And I clicked on this email, opened it up, and he's standing there on the thing, like flipping like a little picture of him, and it's like it's spinning in his hands. And I was like, oh my god.
Oh nope. Hold on. There is one thing. There's one thing positive that came from this.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sit next to somebody in a movie theater now. Still.
Oh my gosh,
So
yes. It
so
makes
I
me so
have
happy.
I have all the elbow
Oh,
space in the world. So
I
that
can breathe. I can breathe. Like, I don't have to feel like somebody's on me. I can. Oh, that is the
yep.
best
Honestly,
feeling ever.
watching Megan, we bought our tickets because I hate seeing next to people, and we bought them like there was like a couple and open seats, and then more open seats. So we bought those, and we bought them like an hour before the show or 2 hours before the show. We get to the show, there's already people right there next to us. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh,
And this was in
I'll
Alamo Draft House, where like the chairs are even more smaller.
oh yeah, Alamo. Yeah, you're definitely laying on somebody
Yeah,
sometimes in
I
those.
was
I'll
so
Yeah.
pissed
buy
off.
I'll buy a seat, and then if I'm going with somebody, I'll skip that seat and then get them the seat right over here. So there, I got a seat in between us, and
Nice.
I'm like, surely nobody's gonna buy that one seat in between us.
Yeah, I love it when people actually just do the one seat because like even the other people on the other side that day only bought the one seat, so I left my wife sitting on that side. I'll take this side, and then like I said, that the couple right there, I'm like, damn it, it's
And
bullshit.
when they kind of first opened the theaters back though, that was a rule that
Yep,
anytime you bought two tickets, and I loved that so much. And
yep.
then so when they finally opened it again to like pretty much full capacity, I'd get mad if there was that theater that I did walk into, got my seats and everything, and then somebody sat next to me. I was like, "Are you serious?
Yep.
I will cough on you." Like just like I don't know. I got really spoiled by that, and it just felt like I was in my own a little home theater. That's what it made me feel like.
Speaking of coughing, whenever they reveal the ending, the whole plot, and Pamela, they were trying to get her rid of her. I was like, why doesn't she just cough on her? She's very asymptomatic. She knows it. Like,
Just lick her face.
Yep.
yeah, I was like, I did like the fact that they threw the asymptomatic in there as well.
Yes, yes, yes. That's very true because it's believable, and it was a thing during the pandemic. So,
But the whole time I was like,
yeah.
dude, man, just cough on her. She'll fucking run away from you. She doesn't have her mask on right now.
So
She's like,
I thought of next week. Again, Megan doesn't have a legacy, um, but I thought it'd be pretty fun next week if we talked the legacy of whether it be comedy, action, horror movies. I thought it'd be fun if we talked the legacy of famous dolls in movies. That's what the plan that I had next week for Megan. Um, what do you guys think? You think there's some certain dolls in some movies that we might be able to talk about, right?
I can
Slappy.
name like three of them right now. I was gonna say
Yeah.
Slappy, Slappy, Chucky, Annabelle, um,
So before we get into the ratings,
Billy the puppet.
Billy.
what was you guys' favorite scene of Sick?
Definitely the DJ's death. I did
DJ's
like
death.
the opening a lot, but I think definitely DJ's death.
Yeah, the opening was beautiful. That was one of my DJ's death was another one of my favorites. But also, um, when Parker went full rage mode on the dude's face,
Yep.
was one of my favorite scenes too. Because I was like, hell yeah, Parker.
Get it.
So yeah, I was like, kill him, kill him.
I mean, those are all good. I'd probably have to agree though with the market and Tyler, just because it took you back to that PTSD of COVID. Um, and then maybe even I would pick the, even though I saw it in the trailer, the mask of put your mask on. Don't, you can't just get in my car. I thought that was
That
yeah.
was one of my favorites. Thank you for that. It was so. I think I have an extra one. It's
Yeah.
sterile. And then she sits there and she's like, "Why does this mask smell like?" And she's like, "Chloroform." And I was like, "No, she's in on it." And I'm like, "No, no." It's just yeah, that was a twist that. Um, gosh, oh man, I want to hug the person who made this film. Good.
I guess we'll do ratings. A five Machete rating. Five Danny Trejos. Uh, Franco, you wanna go first? You wanna lead us in?
I was thinking about it, and I was like, this movie was really good. People are gonna expect me to give it a 5 if they saw it, and I was like, no, I don't want to give it a 5. But then I was like, really trying hard on what to think, like why not to give it a 5. I couldn't come up with anything. The scenery, the shots, the story, the beginning, the Scream homage, the apparently Friday the 13th homage too. Everything about it was just really good. It didn't drag on. It was a really good movie. I'm gonna give it 5. 5
5.
machetes.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm gonna be able to rewatch it like anytime. Like I think I'm probably end up having to get my wife to rewatch it with me. It was
So
really good.
so that's another good thing is A, you can watch it anytime you want. It's on Peacock. You don't have to go rent it yet. You don't have to go buy it or not in the theater. I loved it for every reason that you just mentioned. You're in and out. You don't have to spend too much time on it. It's an hour and 20 minutes. Some of the performances were great. Not a lot to nitpick from. The only thing that's going to allow me from giving this a 5 is now that I know the ending and the pandemic and I know the ins and outs of the movie, would the rewatchability live up to the first watch?
Mm,
That's not necessarily the movie's fault, but I think it was just delivered so good the first watch. I don't know if I would like it as much the second or third, but for now, I'm still going to give it a high rating. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
nice.
So that's my given. Manny, what about you?
This does have rewatch value. I saw it by myself. Told my fiance about it. She got pissed. She's like, "It's a Blumhouse film, and you watched it without me." And I was like, "Sorry." So I watched it again last night, and it was one of those films where I didn't feel like, oh, like if I watch it again, like I want this movie to be over, or oh, that's gonna happen next. Like I still enjoyed watching it, and I was
Okay.
like, wow, this to me that was like that's replay value because I'm never like that. I watch a movie once, and if it wasn't good, I don't touch it again, and if it is good, I give it some time to rest and then watch it again because I enjoyed it. This movie did have rewatch value. And after rewatch and catching little things like when she says like, "Oh yeah, Benji, he was cute until he ghosted me," and I was like, "Wait, what?" It makes sense now because Benji died. Like I didn't realize the first time I watched it. So I give this one again. I feel like the rating I'm giving it is pretty high at 3.5. 3.5 machetes because I thoroughly enjoyed this film and it's good and it's not on physical but I'm a supporter of physical media because we still need it desperately,
Yes,
so
sir.
I hope they release this in 4K in a steelbook because I will be purchasing that.
I
But
would like
yeah,
if you
3.5
open
star.
you open the steelbook and it comes with a mask.
Oh my gosh, I would dive or like a test, a COVID test, like maybe a replica test of the one from the movie. Oh,
Yeah. See?
I would. That's it. I'd be like, I'm
No.
done collecting. I've reached the peak.
That's why we love physical media.
That's
Um,
not a stand.
let us know you guys' ratings. How many ratings out of 5 would you give it? Hit us up again on the social media, Instagram / Friday the 14th podcast or anything Imisawa Productions, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Let us know. Go check this out on Peacock and let us know what you think of the movie. Um, Taglines. I think Franco, you said the tagline is "If you have to scream, cover your mouth." Um, does anybody else have maybe like a favorite tagline they want to shove out there? Mine might be if you have to scream. I don't know. I was trying to think of what I've been trying to think of in the whole
If you
episode.
it would be like for this quarantine, you'll need more than 6 feet
Yeah.
because You need some space from them killers.
We're not safe.
Damn.
Don't get ghosted.
Yeah, don't kiss Benji.
Don't get Benji.
Don't kiss and tell.
Don't kiss him.
There you go. Stop sharing your location.
Remove your location. Remove
Yeah.
your location. Yeah. Media doesn't need to know everything.
Yeah. Put this on your social media, and it's a COVID test. Yeah.
Stay inside.
Yeah.
Where, according to Franco, the tagline would be, "Wear your mask until you get to your car."
There you go.
Wear your mask until you get inside your car.
So you get inside. Okay, even and so you get inside the car. Wear your
Face
mask until you
down,
get inside.
face down, mask up, or ass
Yes.
down, ass up, mask down.
What is that? Mask down, ass up,
There
maybe.
you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you guys have
I
anything else? Oh, go ahead.
I forgot to mention. I don't know if this is how y'all were, but at the beginning, the opening scene, he gets home from getting groceries, and they get home from getting groceries. They took a what the hell is it called? A
A
wipe.
Lysol wipe.
Yeah, to the boxes
Yeah.
and everything on the groceries.
Yeah.
Did y'all do that? Okay, I was like tripping out. I was like, "Yo, did people do this? Because I didn't do that.
People did it though.
No.
That's crazy. I didn't know that."
People did it, and I watching it the second time is when I noticed it because I'm like I don't understand why people like you do know the workers touch every single piece of food they're putting into the bags, and then at the when he gets home and he's lysoling everything, and then later on when they're at the cabin, she's doing the same thing with the Lysol. I was like, wow, in some situations it really was like that. People
Yep.
were up the butt.
It's crazy.
I'm not gonna go in and get groceries, but can Daniel deliver the groceries for me, please? Daniel, put them in my
Yeah,
car.
I'm gonna open the back of my car, and you're just gonna put them in there, and I think I'm safe, even though you touched every single one of those groceries,
Yep.
and I'm not sure you're wearing a mask when you grabbed them. Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
This movie allows you to definitely go back and just sit and think about those good old 2020 days. A year
It's
we
just
would
gonna be
like to
weird.
forget.
I mean, one day I'm gonna be sitting there with my children and being like, yeah, that happened in 2020, the pandemic I went through. I also saw some towers fall when I was very young. I mean, if you don't ask me about my mental state,
Yeah.
like
Then
it's so crazy.
we saw a Simpsons character become president, and man, we could get into that's a whole nother podcast, though. Okay, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
episode.
You want
That's a
like
bonus episode.
How I Met Your Mother from my point of view. Like it'd be
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
But before we get on to next week, does anybody else want to bring anything up from Sick?
Go
Go
watch
watch
the
it.
movie.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Go watch it.
Go
Blumhouse.
watch it. Yeah, go watch it. It's on Peacock. Next Thursday, January 26th, it's theater time. We go back to theater. We're checking out Megan, another 2022 technically release. I think it was made in 2022 with the 2023 release. But it's in theaters. It's being talked about all over the Juniverse. Go check it out, Megan. I can't wait to go see it in theaters. I'm gonna go check it out this weekend, and we'll be on next Thursday to talk about it.
I heard Drake and Josh are in it.
Oh,
I
spoilers!
have yet to see
A
uh
Megan meme?
poster.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I'm like, come on, this is the perfect. Like,
like I
they
thought about
haven't done
that last week. I was like, man, I should make that. I haven't seen anything.
it.
I was just too lazy to make it.
Yeah, it needs to happen.
All right. Um, well, unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about or cover, I think it's on to Megan next week. Right here, new episode. Don't forget next Thursday, Friday the 14th podcast. Thursday, 6 p.m.
Perfect.
Peace, love, tacos. Thanks for watching.
Thank y'all for having me.